Okay. Good morning to one and all. So, in the previous lecture, we have already introduced regarding program outcome. We have not discussed regarding course outcome, but we have discussed regarding title of course. Also, we have discussed regarding PEO, that is program educational objective, and some program specific outcome, that is PSO. Okay. So you should aware about all the program outcome, that is PO. There are 12 PO I have already discussed. Then you should know what is the PEOs and what is the PSOs. Okay. I think in our institute there is a best practice to write this PO, PSO as well as PO in your notebook. It is our institute policy, or we can call it as a institute practice, best practice. That means students should also aware about PEOs, PSOs and POs, and along with that course outcome, that is course outcome of individual course, like one course sensor and application, or like other course any one of the subject is nothing but course, right? See, we are discussing regarding syllabus and what is the importance of this course and what is the title about this course. I have already told one sensor. It is nothing but it is device which can convert one form of energy into an another form, that is it is converted into electrical form. One form of energy, it can be converted into an another form. So this another form, it is nothing but electrical form. The electrical form, whether it is how much parameter in the electrical form, that means right, that means which parameter we measure in the electrical, like voltage, current, power, not a resistance, right? Resistance, it is a one element. So measuring parameter sensor, it will gives output in this form, either voltage, either current, or we can call it as a charge. It will gives a voltage in the form of charge also. Okay. So like that, this is related to title. They are used in the various circuit for developing a engineering solution, or for developing one of the solution for any one of the complex problem, right? Then importance of the course. Do you know that the any signal, it can be generated from the nature, it is in the analog form. So suppose any one of the signal, in this course we are taking input of sensor, so we can call it as a stimulus. Stimulus, it is nothing but we can call a input of the sensor. So whether we know that the input of the sensor, it is in the form of either a parameter like temperature, right? Either it is in the form of quantity, like count of the man which are moving from that sensor, object sensor, that means a count, it is one of the quantity. Like that, the input parameter of the sensor, it is in the form of quantity, it is in the form of that means a signal. Okay. So this input, it can be sensed and it can be converted into electrical form. हा जो काही input आहे, in this unit we can call it as a input, it is nothing but stimulus, or for our understanding we can call it as a object. जे आपल्याला सेन्स करायचं आहे ते ऑब्जेक्ट म्हणजे इनपुट, बरोबर? मग इनपुट in this subject we can call that input, it is nothing but stimulus. And stimulus, it is defined as it is one type of quantity, one type of parameter, or one type of that means one type of physical state or the condition of that object, right? So for example, again there are two types of sensor. One is natural sensor and another one is that man-made sensor. So natural sensor, it is nothing but the sensor which are present in the living organism. Okay. So suppose living organism is nothing but our body, it is an one type of living organism. Like, so which act as a sensor in our body? Which part? Okay, brain, it is act as a sensor. One. Next one. Uh, Skin, it is a one type of big sensor, right? That means our skin, suppose any one of the hot material is in front of you. How you can analyze this material? It is hot. You can touch with that material. That means your skin observes that temperature. So our skin, it is one type of sensor, right? Our tongue, it is one type of sensor. So that means a natural sensor, it is nothing but the sensor which are available in the living organism. That sensor, it is called as natural sensor. And another one type is nothing but man-made sensor. So there are different types of man-made sensor. So the man, it can be made for easy in the operation or the easy in the controlling. Like that, the man-made sensor, it can be used. See, suppose for example, if I take one example, I want to fill a one water tank. एक water tank काय करायचं मला fill करायचं. Suppose there is one wall is there, and by controlling this wall, I want to fill this water tank. In that situation, which object it will be act as a sensor? You are filling that tank by you controlling the wall. Wall control करून मला एक tank water न fulfill करायचं आहे. Which object it will be act as a sensor? Understood my question? I want to fill one tank by using the water. Water, it can be come from one pipeline, and this pipeline, it is having an one wall. I want to fill that water tank. So which object it will be act as a sensor? Wall, it will be act as a sensor. Wall, it will be act as a controlling equipment. Who is filling that tank? Who? Not the water. कौन fill करते हैं? For example, I am feeling that one. Okay. And how I can understood this tank is fulfilled? By seeing. Right now. That means our eye is really act as a sensor. Right. And how we can analyze this water tank? It will be fulfilled by seeing quantity of water. In that situation, this measurement in that tank, whether the tank it will be overflow, whether the tank it will be empty. So this measurement scale, or it may be जर टँकच्या आउटवर्ड साइड ने दिसत असेल तर तुम्ही सांगू शकाल ना फुलफिल झालं. Or if it is overfull, then our eye it will be sense the tank it will be fulfilled. So it is one example. That means our eye it will be act as a one type of sensor. So like that, I am telling regarding man-made sensor, and that means it is one type of man-made sensor. Okay, but our living organism, that means our natural sensor, it will be act as a here sensor. Okay, that means it is a sensor, one type of equipment. It can be convert one type of energy into another type. That means it will be convert one type of signal into an electrical signal. So electrical signal, it is in the form of voltage, it is in the form of current, or it is in the form of charge. Okay, so according to there are different types of sensor is there. The device called as a transducer, it is used to convert one form of energy into another form of energy. Again, there is a difference between transducer and sensor. We will discuss while discussing regarding our first unit in details. So transducer and sensor, it is again different term. So see, the sensor, it is nothing but it is one type of sensing element. Sensor, it is one type of sensing element, and transducer, it is nothing but it will be comes along with that sensor. It is one type of circuitry. It will be comes along with that sensor. म्हणजे sensor बरोबर ते operation perform करण्यासाठी जे device येईल. So this device is nothing but transducer. Okay. So this is nothing but transducer. We need to convert that signal, that is analog signal, into an electrical signal, so that they can be used to develop one type of solution or one engineering solution for any one of the complex problem. Okay. Now, the different sensors are used to sense the physical parameter like temperature, like humidity, as well as light, etc. are quantified in terms of electrical parameter. Okay. So do you know that this sensor, it can be interfaced with that of periphery, or it may be, we can call it as our computer. Okay. or microcontroller. ते काय केलं जातं, मायक्रोकंट्रोलरशी आपण काय करतो, इंटरफेस करतो. So our microcontroller or our computer periphery, it will reads only two value. That means we want to convert it into readable value or our interfacing device value. So do you know that computer, it will be read only a two value, 0 and 1. That means either it may be low or it may be high. It will read. So we want to convert this into an our peripheral device readable value, so that we require some another circuitry like analog to digital converter, like some different equipment, that is electronic circuitry it will require. So we will design that, we will see that circuitry in our third unit, that is design of sensor structure. See, we want to sense that parameter like temperature, humidity, light, and it will be converted into a quantified term. Quantified term is nothing but one type of quantity, or whether we are converting it into quality, we are converting it into quantity, no? Okay. So somewhat we are specifying the voltage. Suppose voltage reads above that value, then our circuit, it will be tripped like that. That means we are matching it with the one quantity. Suppose output of that sensor, it is in the form of voltage, and you set that value of voltage, म्हणजे controlling करतोय sensor चा use करून tank, whether the tank, it will be fulfilled or not, it can be sensed by that sensor if we are using a man-made sensor. So at that situation, we specified one term, or we give one reference term. त्या सर्किटरीला आपण काय करतो, एक रेफरन्स टर्म देतो, बरोबर. That means beyond that value, the sensor sense this, that means tank, it will be fulfilled and the wall, it will be closed. So it will give command to that of controlling circuitry like that, barabar na? Okay. So it will be quantified in terms electrical parameter. So we must understood the sensor principle and its application to develop solution in case of house build field, in case of industrial field, or other types of application. Okay. So that means to give solution to different types of application, we are using sensor in our household also. We are using a sensor in case of industry. We are using sensor for any other application. So to develop one type of solution, we want to understand the principle of the sensor, then characteristics of the sensor, and then we will choose one type of sensor for a particular application, right? So due to that, there is the importance of this course. Getting all of you importance of this course? Okay. Now we will discuss regarding course outcome. So in case of course outcome, there are 6 course outcome based on 6 units. I have made, there are 6 course outcome. So first one course outcome is that elaborate the concept of sensor and its characteristics. Okay. We want to understand here the concept of sensor, and there are different characteristics. I think near about there are 20 characteristics of sensor. we want to understood these characteristics of sensor. So I have made one course outcome depend upon unit number first, that is elaborate the concept of sensor and its characteristics, right? Second one course outcome is that I am telling regarding course outcome. Do you know course? Course is nothing but our subject is nothing but course. And after understanding this subject, you should know this course outcome. Elaborating the concept of sensor and its characteristics. Second one is that describe the working principle of analog and digital sensor. So there are types of sensor. We want to describe the working principle of analog type sensor, digital type sensor. Third one course outcome is that design a sensor interface circuit. Okay, as I have told that along with sensor, some of the extra circuitry it can be used to interface this sensor with our computer, or we can call it as a microcontroller, right? So that we want to interface that circuitry to that peripheral devices. So designing of that circuitry, which types of circuitry like that I have tell analog to digital controller it can be required, like that some of the transducer it can be required, some contact type sensor it can be required, how the contact type sensor it can be interfaced with that of peripheral device, how the non-contact type sensor it can be interfaced with that of peripheral device, like that. Okay, so that we want to understood the design of sensor interface circuit for a given engineering problem. Next one course outcome is that select an appropriate sensor based on a given engineering problem. Okay, in that we are selecting one type of sensor for one type of application. Suppose there are humidity application. So we want to select humidity type of sensor. So in this unit, we want to understand there are types of sensor or it is used for which types of application. And based on this, we want to perform some practical also. Next one, course outcome is that describe the principle of sensor material and technology of sensor. Okay, see, we want to understand which types of material is used to manufacture the sensor. That means describing the principle of sensor material, which types of material it is used to manufacture the sensor, and while manufacturing which types of technology it can be used. So this point we want to understood in this unit, or this is the course outcome of unit number 5. And the last one unit, it is nothing but it is depends upon actuator. So last one course outcome is that describe the working principle of different types of actuator. So actuator, it is nothing but it is one type of device. It will be perform function opposite to that of sensor. Sensor चा opposite function it is nothing but actuator, right? So this actuator we want to understood working principle of different types of actuator. So there are different types of actuator, like electromagnetic type of actuator, like pneumatic type of actuator. Okay, so this actuator we want to understood in this course outcome 6. Okay, now we will discuss regarding detailed syllabus. In that, in the section 1 unit number first, this total course it will be include, there are 6 units. In the section first there are 3 units, and in the section second there are 3 units. So first one unit, it is nothing but sensor fundamental and characteristics. So unit content of this unit is that sensor. So what is meant by sensor? The definition of sensor, there are different strategies to define the sensor. Some can say that it is one energy conversion device. Some can say that it will be sense one input and it will be gives an output, or it will be sense one input and respond to that input. So it is also one type of definition of sensor. Okay, so sensor, there are different definition of sensor. Then signals and systems, sensor classification, that means there are different types of sensor or types of sensor, units of measurement, and sensor characteristics. So these are the unit content of this unit number first, that is sensor fundamental and characteristics. And this unit having an 5 hours as per the university, and there are this unit content sensor, signal and system, sensor classification, units of measurement, and the sensor characteristics. So it will include in the first unit. Second unit, it is nothing but it is again a basic in the second unit. So physical principle of sensing. Okay, so that means sensor, it will be sensed on which basic physical principle. We want to understand the physical principle. So see, in that, so these are the all basic term. In that first one, electric charge. You people know electric charge. Based on that electric charge sensor, it will be sensed. Similarly, field, that is electric field, magnetic field. Then what is the potential? Then capacitive type of sensor, it will be works on basic principle like capacitor principle. So that capacitance, then magnetism, induction, resistance, then piezoelectric sensor, it will be depends upon piezoelectric effect or the piezoelectric principle. So that piezoelectric effect is there. So do you know that Hall effect type of sensor, it should be depends upon Hall effect principle. So we want to understand that Hall effect principle. Some sensor, it should be depends upon temperature. So we want to understand the temperature. Again, thermal properties of that material. These are the basic part. Already you have studied in your physics in the 12th science, or it may be in the diploma. You people all studied, not more or not detail, but some content you have already studied. Then some of the heat transfer technique. You people know heat transfer technique. One technique, radiation. Second one, convection. Right, convection. And third one, laser. Three techniques are there, or three method of heat transfer, or we can call it as a mode of heat transfer. There are three technique or three methods. First one is nothing but conduction, second one is nothing but convection, and third one is nothing but radiation. Can anyone tell me the example of convection heat transfer? Application, or we can call it as example. Conduction, heat transfer by using conduction. How? Conduction, what is the meaning of conduction? Meaning of conduction? Meaning of conduction, it is nothing but it is in contact. It is in contact. Suppose this is one type of iron rod, and if I am giving heat to that one end of that iron rod चा मी एका एंडला heat देतो. So molecules which are present in that iron rod, whether other end of iron rod it is heated. So it is one type of conduction of heat transfer, right? So it is nothing but this material, it is in contact. Okay, similarly, if you are boiling water in one, that means one bowl or one tank. So you are giving a heat to that bowl. Okay, so this heat, it can be transferred by using a conduction, because water, it is in contact with that material. So it is one type of heat transfer by using conduction. Convection, what is the concept of convection? Heat transfer by using convection. Example, if you are aware about example, then it is easy to tell. Example,
heater.
Concept of convection. For example, the water heater, or we can call it as a room heater. Similar to that of AC, there is a room heater, no? Okay. So convection, similar concept is nothing but water heater. What will do water heater? The element which are used for heating purpose, it will heat first. After that, suppose consider a room heater. After that, there should be somewhat heat in this room. How? So there are some air molecule, it will be present. त्याच्यामध्ये काहीतरी air molecule आहेत या रूम मध्ये. So cold particle, it will be attracted towards the heating element, and hot particle, it will be flowing away from that of heating element. This concept is nothing but convection. Convection is nothing but one particle, it can be taking, it can be heating, and it can be transferred into the air. So it is nothing but convection, similar to that of water heater. Cold water, it can be, I think you people know, in case of what is the density of heated water and cold water? What about density? Density, you know, what is the density of oil, whether it is less than water or greater than water? Oil density. Oil पाण्यावरती तरंगतं का पाणी तेलावरती तरंगतं? Like that. So that means hot water, it will be take upper hand, or cold water, it will be take upper hand.
Hot water.
आता वॉटर टँक आहे, हॉट वॉटर वरती येतं ना. कॉइल जरी तुम्ही ऍट द बॉटमला प्लेस केली असेल तर हॉट वॉटर कुठं असतं? दॅट मीन्स cold water, it can be attracted towards the heating element or that coil, and when it will be heated, it can be take upper, or it may be, it will be move in the upward side. So this concept is nothing but convection. So it is nothing but convection mode of heat transfer. We will see in the detail. Next one, the light principle. I think you have already studied in physics, that is phenomenon of light, scattering phenomenon, incidence light, refracted light, then reflection concept. So this we want to discuss in case of this one. Then dynamic model of sensor element. So we want to understand the dynamic model of sensor element. Okay. Next one, that is unit number 3. It is nothing but interface electronic circuits. Okay. To fulfill our solution, or to give one solution, we want to use some circuitry to interface that sensor with that circuit. Okay, so there are interfacing design. This can be understood by using understanding of input characteristics of interface circuit. Okay, जे आपण इंटरफेस करणार आहे त्याच्या इनपुट कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक्स माहित पाहिजेत. सपोज आउटपुट ऑफ द सेन्सर, इट इज इन द फॉर्म ऑफ analog voltage, or we can call it as a sine wave, and whether your circuitry, it will not understand the sine wave, whether there is interfacing, it will be happen. So we want to understand that input characteristics of interfacing circuit. Next one, amplifier. So low level signal is there, we want to convert it into high level signal, so we want to use the amplifier. So it is one type of interfacing circuit. Then some sensor, it will be required excitation circuit to energize that sensor, or to enable that sensor, we want to use some excitation. Do you know excitation? You have studied already, I think DC motor, DC synchronous motor, induction motor, there is a concept of excitation. So excitation is required. Then to readable value of computer, or to readable value of microcontroller, we want to convert this analog into digital, so that there is analog to digital converter. Again, there are technique like digitization, how it can be converted into digital. There are direct digitization technique and its processing. Then bridge circuit, then data transmission. Okay, how the data, it can be transmitted, this we want to also understood. And if there are low power sensor is there, so we want to something high power, so we want to use the batteries. Which types of batteries it is used for a low power sensor? Low power sensitivity, which types of battery it is suitable? We want to understand that in case of interface circuit. So it will becomes all in interface circuit. So that this point it can be included in the interface circuit. Right. In the second section, there is unit number 4, sensors in different application area. Okay, sensors in a different application area. So we want to understood there are different application area and which types of sensor it can be used. So see, suppose occupancy and motion detector, which types of sensor it is suitable, which types of sensor it can be used according to this application. So these are the application, no? Motion detector, I want to detect the motion. It is my application. I want to use sensor here. So it is one type of application. Sensor in different application area. So to detect the motion, I want to use one sensor like a motion sensor. So on which principle it will be work? So we will discuss regarding detail. Then to detect position, there are position sensor. Okay. To detect displacement, that in industry, suppose one object is there, it will be displaced from its manufacturing to it where it can be stored. So there is a displacement, or after displacement it will count. Suppose count machine is there, it will also sense a displacement. Right, one object it will be count 1, it will be displaced from that place, second it will become like that. It is so there are displacement sensor. To level application, there is a level sensor. Then to measurement of velocity as well as to measurement of acceleration. Okay, so for velocity measurement there is some different types of sensor. For example, to measurement of velocity from bullet from what we can say, bullet from what we can call it is gun, right? No, बंदुकीमध्ये सुटलेली गोळी. So we want to measure the velocity. Which types of sensor it is suitable? So this we want to also understood like ultrasonic sensor, right? No, so it is a high velocity. We want to measure that velocity or the speed of that bullet. So we will require some type of ultrasonic sensor, or it may be some types of ultraviolet sensor. Okay, UV type of sensor. We are passing a ray. We are measuring the distance between that as per our formula. Which formula? Velocity, distance and time. Velocity is equals to distance upon time. According to that principle, we want to measure the velocity. So that required some different types of velocity sensor. Again, to measurement of acceleration application, we want to use some sensor. Then to measurement of force sensor is there. Strain, that is strain gauge. Then tactile sensor to measure the pressure sensor are there. To measure the humidity or the moisture, there are humidity and moisture sensor. Then to detect the light detector is there. Again, temperature sensor. So these are the different types of sensor which are used for a different types of application. ज्या application साठी use करतोय आपण, suppose I want to using for measurement of force. So there are force sensor, right? So this we want to discuss in this unit, that is unit number 4. Then as I have tell that the unit number 5, in that the sensor material, manufacturing material and technologies related to manufacturing material and technology. So sensor material and technology. So different types of material which are used for manufacturing of the sensor. Then surface processing. So surface processing, it is nothing but while manufacturing, how the surface of that sensor it can be processed. Okay, suppose object sensor is there. So whether some smooth portion for that sensor, whether it is used, that means if the smooth portion, suppose this is a sensor and here it is smooth portion, where it is sensing element of the sensor and here it is rough portion is there. We require a smooth, or if there is a rough portion is there, whether it is sense accurately. स्मूथ असेल तर सेन्स करेल का रफ असेल तर सेन्स करेल. That means some processing techniques are there. How our sensor it can be manufactured. So there are some surface processing technique like etching technique is there. So we want to discuss this next, and some technology like for manufacturing of sensor we are using a nanotechnology. So sensor, you people know that having an diameter, it is in meter or nanometer or millimeter. Whether the sensor diameter is big or small. Small diameter, no. The sensor, it should not be in the meter. It may be, it is in the millimeter or the nanometer. So that we want to use the nanotechnology. Okay. So different types of technology. Only these three point in this unit number 5. And the last one unit is that actuator. So actuator, it is device. It is opposite to that of sensor. That means it will convert one form of energy into another form. Okay, one form of energy into another form, but it will be convert electrical energy into an which one? Physical format, or we can call it as a stimulus. Right? No? म्हणजे सेन्सरचं काय आहे? Stimulus to electrical form. So in case of actuator, it will be converts a electrical form to stimulus. Okay, so there are different I will tell one example. You people tell me actuator, which types of actuator. Then introduction of actuator, classification of actuator. There are different types of actuator. So actuator type is also given. Principle of operation of electrical actuator. Electrical actuator is there. Electromagnetic type of actuator is there. Then electromechanical type of actuator is there. Hydraulic and pneumatic actuator. Hydraulic and pneumatic type of actuator. Again, the micro and nano actuator. Micro type and nano type of actuator. Then selection criteria. Okay, what are the selection criteria to select some type of actuator? Okay, so this is related to syllabus of our subject or of our course, that is sensor and application. Okay, getting it will include a 6 unit. So first one, it is related to basic fundamental. Second one is also related to basic. We want to understood the principle. Third one, in that third one unit, we want to understood the interface circuitry, design of interface circuitry. Then section second, unit number 4, it is based on the types of sensor and application. One unit, it is based on the sensor material and technology, manufacturing of sensor, which types of sensor material it can be used and which types of technology it can be used. And the unit number 6, it is based on actuator. Okay, it is based on actuator. Now the textbook and reference book, all of you write down this textbook and reference book. So it is used for your better understanding. There is some textbook and reference book. First one, textbook, J. Fradon, Handbook of Modern Sensor, Handbook of Modern Sensor, Physical Design and Application, AIP Press, Springer. I will also provide this ebook to you in the study material. I will provide ebook. Okay, in that there are detailed explanation is given with better understanding.
मोठी ग्लास इकडे झाली आपल्या मिररची विंडोची.
Anyone mic is open? Yes. Hmm. Open. Hmm.
हा सर ऑफ झाला आता.
Audible clearly?
हा
English
येस सर
student? Hello.
हा सर येस सर ऑडिबल.
Whether there is echo?
नाही नाही सर मागाशी कोणाचा माईक चालू होता.
Okay. Okay.
बंद झाला आता.
Okay. See, this is textbook J. Braden, Handbook of Modern Sensor, Physical Design and Application. So AIP Press Springer. This is a very useful book. Then Sensor and Actuator Engineering System Instrumentation by Clearance, W.D. Silva. This is one textbook. Sensors and Actuators Engineering Systems Instrumentation by Clarence W.D. Silva. Next one, Electrical and Electronics Measurement and Instrumentation. R.K. Rajput. Yes, Chan. I think you people already used this book. Have you used? Huh? No. Electrical and Electronics Measurement and Instrumentation. You have studied in your second year electrical measurement and instrumentation subject. So in this book, you use only measurement related part in our first unit, not detail related to sensor and application in this unit for measurement purpose only. Then reference book, all of you write this textbook and reference book. At least you people should know which textbook and which reference book it should be used for this subject. The most useful book, first one, textbook, that is J. Braden, Handbook of Modern Sensor, Physical Design and Application, AIP Press, Springer. Okay. Or Or so these are the textbook and reference book related to that course, that is sensor and application. All of you getting? Yes, give me reply. Is there any doubt in the syllabus?
No, sir.
Okay, this is whether it is easy or difficult. Okay. So this is related to syllabus and textbook and reference book. In the next lecture, we will start our unit number first. Is that sensor fundamental and its characteristics. Okay, and in that unit we will give the detailed discussion regarding sensor. There are different types of sensor, which types of signal it can be converted into which types of signal, then measurement of that, that means units of measurement and characteristics. Okay, so we will discuss this into unit number first, and in the next lecture we will start our unit number first, that is sensor fundamental and its characteristics. Okay, getting? Is there any doubt in this introduction of course? Okay, in this way we will conclude this today's lecture, and we will stop here. Thank you.